Tonight's show is called The Case Against Obama. This is an election about rejecting the socialistic policies, the corruption, and the graft of the Obama administration. It is not so much an election to vote for Romney, who is himself a big government liberal Republican. No, it is an election about rejecting the socialistic policies, the corruption and graft of the Obama administration. And I recognize many of you don't know much of the facts. I know that's a fact, that you don't know the facts. And that's because you have busy lives and you don't pay much attention to this stuff. It's like an exam, and the night before the election, maybe you turn on the radio, you know, you don't know who you're listening to in some cases. Sometimes you do. And I'm going to present over the next 2 or 3 hours the case against Obama. And the best way I can do that is giving you the facts, only the facts. And I wrote a book called Trickle-Down Tyranny. I don't care if you buy it or not. It's sold very well. It's not going to change my lifestyle if one more copy sells. But I spent over 2 years writing the book. And the book is carefully documented with several hundred references on the deficits of the Obama administration. This is the second iteration of our dance with socialism. Jimmy Carter was the first. Obama was the second, but Obama was far more radical than Jimmy Carter because he was able to get away with more than Carter because he used the race issue to his advantage, hoodwinking the liberals, especially the white liberals, into the guilt trip that permitted him and his gang from Chicago to get away with virtual theft. And I'm going to prove it to you tonight. I'm going to spell it out for you. If you care to join the conversation, there's really only one question I want. I will not take any other calls. There's only one question. What policy, act, or omission convinced you to vote against Obama? That's the only question I want answered. What policy, what act, what omission, what corruption, what graft convinced you to vote against Obama? Don't tell me about Romney. Romney is not God. Romney is not the salvation. Romney is not the great hope. Romney is an alternative to what we have now. And it's summarized, really, you know, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. On michaelsavage.com, a minute before the show, my friend Peter sent me a poster on a 16-wheeler. Things could be, it's a truck near the Fort Collins Loveland Airport in Loveland, Colorado. It's a huge billboard on the side of a 16-wheeler, the picture of the anointed one, and the headline says, things could be worse. Re-elect me and I'll prove it. One picture is worth 1,000 words. I put it on michaelsavage.com for you to share with your friends tonight because everything is at stake. Either we throw the bums out or the country is finished forever. You say, come on, you're exaggerating. People say, well, the worst that'll happen is we'll become like Europe. I said, no, you're wrong. No, this is not becoming like Europe. The model is not Europe that Obama himself and his cronies are working with. The structural reality is that he's moving us towards a Chavez-like dictatorship where there's a crushed middle class that will flee the nation, except there is nowhere to flee. And so, again, I'm asking you, what policy, act, or omission convinced you to vote against him? Let me begin at the beginning with you. Tonight is my turn. It is a case against Obama. The book is dedicated to those who gave their lives to secure the freedom to write and read as we please. That's how I dedicated the book. And as I speak with you, Leon Panetta, Barack Obama, and David Axelrod have denied the ballots to soldiers, Marines, and airmen. The book was dedicated to those who gave their lives to secure the freedom so that I could write, I can read, and you can vote as you please. And this gang has taken away the right for, God knows, tens of thousands, hundreds, we don't know, of soldiers, airmen, and Marines to vote. They rigged it so they can't vote. They rigged it so that non-citizens can vote. So let me begin at the beginning. Trickle-Down Tyranny is the title. Here's the first line. It's a classic. No one's ever written a better line. Nobody has beaten me in this one-liner. As a writer, I was a writer before I was a talk show host. We always sought the one good line. Here's the best line I've ever written in my 28-book career. Economies can be rebuilt. Armies can be repopulated. But once a nation's pride is gone, it can almost never be restored. Nobody has ever beat Michael Savage with a line like that. And Obama has decimated the pride of the nation. He has destroyed it, almost destroyed it. I'll go on. The loss of a nation's honor is something not even centuries can repair. The next president must love America. The next president must embody unequivocally everything that is good about this country going back to its founding. The next president must be the exact opposite of Barack Obama. He must be a man of high character and strong commitment to American values, because he will be facing problems and issues that no U.S. leader has had to face since the years leading up to World War II. In the late 1930s, only a few years before the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, our economy was still trying to recover from the Great Depression in the face of the policies of a big government president, that's Roosevelt. Our military had been depleted, and our enemies were gathering strength and threatening war on many fronts. While this was going on, our president and European leaders were hiding their heads in the sand, downplaying the threat from those enemies in much the same way Barack Hussein Obama is doing today. The Obama administration is concealing the seriousness of many problems that affect every one of us in our everyday lives. Let me explain what I mean by giving you information you won't hear from any other source. I'm Michael Savage. This is the Savage Nation. What policy, act, or omission convinced you to vote against him? 1. Obama's economic policies have caused such an enormous rise in the price of the necessities of life, listen carefully, dumb liberals, that his administration has removed energy and food prices from its financial analysis in order to avoid telling the American people just how bad inflation is. If he put back energy and food prices into the financial analysis, we wouldn't have inflation of 2 or 3%. It would be closer to what we had under Jimmy Carter, 18 to 20%. 2, the U.S. Navy, our primary military force in the 21st century, currently has the smallest number of ships we have had since the end of World War I. By the way, Romney picked that up from my book. In 1918, our Navy was comprised of 774 ships. It's down to fewer than 300 ships today. Bill Clinton decimated our military forces during the 90s, and under Barack Hussein Obama, the problem is getting worse. At best, Barack Obama will be doing nothing about these issues and the others I'm going to reveal to you here in Trickle-Down Tyranny. In the face of this, the next president must be proud of America, willing to laugh at the lunatic fringe pushing the theory of global warming, courageous enough to take on the big bankers and the dictatorial enemies of freedom that are challenging us in every corner of the world. The next president must do nothing less than restore America to its position as the supreme military and financial power in the world. The American people have been kept in the dark about what I'm going to reveal to you in Trickle-Down Tyranny. They've been fed an endless stream of lies. They've had to endure out-and-out thievery by the government at their expense. They've had to stand by while the administration revealed its absolute corrupt character because the press kept its mouth shut. Because of this, there is still the possibility that Barack Obama will be reelected. You heard me. Call it communism, Marxism, Leninism, socialism, collectivism. Call it whatever you like. If we don't wake up to the reality of the situation, we face another 4 years of this administration, of the takeover of our country by agents of the very enemy that we have been fighting against for more than half a century. We need to nominate and support the most electable Republican in the field, because an Obama victory in 2012 would doom this country. I mean that literally. We will very likely not survive as a free nation after 4 more years under Obama's rule. Returning American foreign policy to a position of strength. I talk about Russia on page 3. I'm not going to read every word of a many hundred-page book, okay? Do you remember the START Treaty? You remember what Obama did with Russia when he abandoned the idea of installing U.S. missile defense sites in Poland and the Czech Republic that were meant to protect our European and Eastern European allies against Iranian nuclear missile strikes? It was part of Obama and Hillary Clinton's Russian reset. And what did Russia do? Russia rewarded Obama by threatening to aim its missiles at U.S. European-based missile defense systems and to withdraw from the START nuclear weapons treaty. I'll go on. I know many of you don't care about that. Let's go to the Middle East. That's something we can all pay attention to. I'm going to cover China and the threat of China and what Obama has done in his supine manner. Do you remember what he did to the Middle East? Have you taken a close look at what the Obama Middle East foreign policy has done to that region and to the global political balance since early 2011? Obama supported the ouster of Hosni Mubarak during the spring of 2011. Remember Mubarak, our friend for 40 years, the man who signed a peace treaty with Israel, the man who stabilized the largest Muslim nation on earth? In late November of that year, the Obama administration, after spending $200 million to support the overthrow of Mubarak, we saw the first democratic election in Egypt. And what were the results? The results were the radical Islamist Muslim Brotherhood, along with the conservative Salafist Party, won 67% of the seats in the new Egyptian parliament, giving supporters of government based on Sharia law a strong majority. I wrote this months and months ago before this became the news. And so we see what's going on. Democratic rule has turned what naive leftists around the world call the Arab Spring into the Arab Winter, a term I coined. I saw as though through a crystal ball what would follow Mubarak's fall. The Egyptian economy has been reduced to a trickle as tourism has dried up. Christians are an endangered species in Egypt. If the Egyptian military would stop intervening to maintain order and hand over that job to a civilian government, the mob rule that has become the norm in Cairo would look like a picnic. Utter chaos would follow, and the country would very likely sink into true anarchy. This was all because of your academic egghead president, Barack Hussein Obama. And what about China? You have any idea what China is doing? Do you know that China is not far behind Russia in challenging the United States? Do you know that the Chinese President Hin Jiantao has directed the Chinese Navy to prepare for military combat? Whose military stance is based on China's claim that it owns the South China Sea and that other nations need to give up any claims to the oil and gas reserves there and to the right to use its shipping lanes without Chinese consent? That would be like Obama saying that we have a new Obama doctrine, like the Monroe Doctrine, and you're not allowed to drill, for example, in the Gulf of Mexico. But Obama did the opposite. Obama permitted foreign nations to drill in the Gulf of Mexico, and they're drilling around the clock, while he banned American companies from drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. But you don't know any of this. Are you as appalled as I am at the lack of backbone displayed over and over again by our state and defense departments in the face of China's ongoing military buildup? Now, I'll pause right here. I'll give you a breather, and I'll ask you if you'd like to join the conversation on this all-important seminal evening on the Savage Nation. What policy, act, or omission convinced you to vote against Barack Hussein Obama? The phone number here on the new Savage Nation is 855-400-SAVAGE. That's 855-400-7282. I'll be right back.
Call Michael right now at 855-400-SAVAGE.